The morning of her birthday began quietly for the woman. She woke up before sunrise, as she always did, and walked slowly to the kitchen. The house was calm, almost too calm. She made herself a cup of warm tea, and sat by the window, watching. The soft morning light touched the trees outside. Birthdays always made her feel a mix of emotions. She was thankful for another year, but she also felt a little lonely. She lived alone now, and the silence in the house sometimes felt heavier on special days. Still, she was excited because her daughter had promised to visit early with her husband. They said they wanted to spend the whole day with her. That made her smile. She dressed carefully, put on her favorite necklace, and waited in the living room. When the doorbell finally rang, she felt her heart lift. Her daughter walked in with a bright smile, carrying a small box of pastries. Her husband followed with a friendly greeting and a warm hug. Everything looked normal at first. They sat together, shared breakfast, and talked about simple things, weather, work, little details from the week. But after a while, the woman noticed something strange. Her daughter seemed tense. She kept glancing at her husband, almost as if they were sharing a secret. The woman brushed the thought aside at first. Maybe they just had a long morning. Maybe they were tired. But the feeling didn't go away. When her daughter went to the kitchen to refill their drinks, the woman watched the way her husband shifted. In his seat, checking his phone, wiping his palms, breathing a little too fast, something was off. When her daughter returned, she leaned close to her husband. They exchanged a look, the kind couples give when they want to say something quietly. Her daughter hesitated, then whispered something so soft, the woman almost didn't hear it. Almost, "I'll distract her. You go to her house, make sure everything is ready." The woman froze. Her daughter pulled back quickly, pretending nothing happened, but the words were already buried deep in the woman's mind. She felt her stomach tighten. Her house? Why did her daughter want her husband to go there? What needed to be made ready? And why would they need to distract her? She tried to act normal. She sipped her tea and forced a small smile as her daughter chatted. But inside, her thoughts were turning in circles. Was something wrong with her home? Had she forgotten to lock something? Was someone supposed to visit? Or were they planning something behind her back? She didn't want to think that way. Her daughter had always been loving, kind, responsible. So why would she whisper something like that? The woman tried to focus on the conversation, but the whisper kept repeating in her head. Her daughter placed a hand on her shoulder and asked if she liked the pastries. She nodded, though she could barely taste anything now. A few minutes later, her son-in-law stood up suddenly. "I'll be back in a bit," he said casually. Her daughter almost jumped. "Yes, so take your time," she replied too quickly. Too brightly. The woman sat completely still, thinking about the whisper, about the tension she saw, about the way her daughter was now talking non-stop, trying to fill every second with sound. Her son-in-law put on his jacket and walked toward the door. The woman watched him closely. He avoided her eyes. He stepped outside, the door closed, and in that moment, the woman felt a quiet chill run through her. Why did it feel like something important was happening, and she wasn't supposed to know? The door had barely closed behind her son. When the woman noticed the change, her daughter's smile grew wider, too wide, almost forced. She clapped her hands together softly and said, "So? Tell me more about your week." Her voice was unusually cheerful, like someone trying to make everything look perfectly normal. The woman studied her daughter for a moment. Something in her eyes didn't match the smile on her face. There was nervous energy in the way she moved. Like she was trying to keep too many thoughts inside her head at once. Her daughter sat right beside her, much closer than usual, and began talking non-stop. She asked about the woman's friends, her favorite childhood memories, old recipes, even stories from the woman's old workplace. It was as if she was trying to keep her mother engaged fully, constantly, without pause. The woman nodded politely, but she felt her mind drifting back to the whisper. I'll distract her. You go to her house? A strange tightness grew in her chest. Her daughter reached for her hand. Are you okay? You seem a little quiet. I'm fine, the woman said softly. But she wasn't. Something didn't sit right. She had lived long enough to know when people were hiding something. And her daughter was definitely hiding something. Her daughter changed the subject again. She suggested they look through old photo albums. Then she suggested they watch a movie. Then she brought snacks from the kitchen, even though they had just eaten breakfast. Every few minutes, she asked if her mother needed anything: water, tea, a blanket, a different chair. It felt like she was trying to keep her mother from standing up at all. The woman finally asked the question that Pangaea had been sitting on her tongue for the last 20 minutes. Where did your husband go? Her daughter froze for half a second, barely noticeable, but enough to confirm that something was wrong. Oh yeah, had to take care of something. Quick errand. Nothing important. She waved her hand in the air as if brushing off dust. The woman nodded slowly, watching the way her daughter avoided her eyes. What kind of errand? She asked quietly. Oh. Just something he forgot to do earlier, her daughter replied, her voice too bright, too practiced. The woman felt her heart beat a little faster. She folded her hands in her lap and took a slow breath. Her daughter kept talking, again telling stories, asking questions, offering snacks, suggesting games. But none of it felt real. None of it felt natural. After nearly an hour of the strange behavior, her daughter's phone buzzed. She jumped, almost dropping it. She stood up quickly. I need to take this. It's work. But she didn't step far away. She moved only a few feet, her back half turned, and lowered her voice. The woman could still hear the soft murmurs, the uncertain tone, a whisper slipping out here and there. Words like, not yet, just a little more time. She's still here. I'm trying. The woman's chest tightened again. She wasn't someone who jumped to conclusions. But it was impossible not to feel something was being kept from her, something big. Something involving her home. Her daughter returned with a shaky smile. Sorry, work things. The woman only nodded. She didn't want to press too hard. She didn't want to make her daughter uncomfortable. But now the whisper from before felt heavier, clearer. Her daughter sat down again, trying to continue the conversation, but her eyes kept flicking to the clock on the wall. Every few minutes, she checked her phone, then tried to act like she hadn't. The woman watched all of this quietly. Years of experience had taught her to notice the smallest changes: tension in someone's voice, the way they hold their hands, the way they shift their seat when they're nervous. Her daughter was hiding something, and it had everything to do with her house. As the minutes passed, the woman felt her worry turn into quiet determination. She needed to know what was going on. Asterisk. While the woman sat in her living room wondering why her daughter was acting so strangely, her son-in-law was already on the road. He drove with both hands gripping the wheel, his jaw tight, his mind racing faster than the car itself. He kept checking the time, then checking his phone, hoping for a message from his wife that everything was going smoothly. The morning sun was bright, but he barely noticed it. His thoughts were tangled. He replayed the plan again and again in his mind, hoping he hadn't forgotten anything. He wasn't someone who liked secrets, especially when it involved someone he respected deeply. But today was different. Today required secrecy. Today had to be perfect. When he turned into the quiet street where the woman lived, he slowed down. Her house looked peaceful from the outside, just like always. The curtains were drawn neatly. The garden was still. Nothing looked unusual, but he felt a hint of pressure in his chest, as if the house itself was watching him, waiting for him to step inside. He parked the car and walked up the small path to the front door. He paused, checking over his shoulder to make sure no neighbors were watching. Then he unlocked the door and stepped inside. The moment he entered, he froze. He wasn't expecting the house to feel this different. Something was off. He walked slowly, his shoes making soft sounds against the floor. The air felt slightly colder than it should have been. A faint smell lingered in the hallway, something he couldn't place. Not dangerous, not strong, just unusual. He took a slow breath. Okay, he whispered to himself. Just stick to the plan. He moved through the living room, checking the corners, checking the windows. Everything seemed mostly normal. Until he noticed a small detail. One of the cushions on the couch had fallen to the floor. That cushion never fell. The woman kept her home neat, always tidy, everything in its place. He bent down, picked it up, and placed it back gently. Then he noticed something else. A drawer in the hallway. Cabinet was slightly open. He knew the woman never left. Drawers open. His heart beat faster. He stepped closer and pulled the drawer fully open. Inside, nothing was missing, but everything looked slightly shifted, as if someone had touched things without knowing exactly where they belonged. He swallowed hard. This wasn't part of the plan. He took out his phone and whispered into it. I'm here. But something feels wrong. He didn't speak loudly. He didn't want his voice echoing through the quiet house. He moved upstairs, trying to stay calm, but each step made him more anxious. The upstairs hallway was dim, the curtains blocking most of the sunlight. He walked toward the bedroom, unsure what he would find. When he opened the bedroom door, he stopped again. The lamp beside the bed was on. They hadn't left it on this morning. He felt a chill run through him. He checked the windows. They were locked. He checked the closet. Nothing unusual. But the lamp, the drawer, the cushion, small things, but enough to make him uneasy. He sat on the edge of the bed and called his wife again. I need more time, he whispered. Just keep her with you. Something's not right here. There was a pause on the other end. Then his wife whispered back nervously, just hurry, please. He ended the call and stood up again. Key. Couldn't leave, not yet. He had to make sure everything was truly ready for the surprise they planned later. But first, he had to figure out what had changed in the house. He walked back, toward the stairs slowly, his heart beating heavier with each step. Outside, everything was bright and calm. Inside, every small detail felt like a quiet warning. He didn't know what he was about to discover, but he knew he had to keep searching. Asterisk back at her living room, the woman watched her daughter with growing confusion. Every minute that passed made things feel stranger. Her daughter kept glancing at the clock, checking her phone, and forcing small laughs that didn't sound like her. It was as if she was waiting for something, or trying to prevent something. The woman tried to relax, but she couldn't. Her mind kept circling back to the whisper from earlier. I'll distract her. You go to her house? What needed to be made ready? What was her daughter hiding? Why couldn't they just tell her? Her daughter handed her a warm drink and sat beside her again. Here, try this. It's your favorite, she said. But the woman noticed her hands trembling slightly. Are you all right? The woman asked gently. Me? Oh, yes, of course. I'm fine. The daughter replied too quickly, as if she'd been waiting for that exact question and had rehearsed the answer. The woman nodded slowly. She didn't want to push too hard, but something inside her was whispering that this wasn't just about a birthday surprise. There was fear in her daughter's eyes, fear mixed with urgency. The woman tried to think back. Had she said something recently that worried her daughter? Was she forgetting things? Had she done something wrong at her house? A quiet ache formed in her chest. The last thing she wanted was to be a burden. As the daughter talked, the woman's thoughts drifted to memories of her daughter as a child, always open, always talking freely. But today, her daughter was hiding something behind a forced smile. The woman took a slow breath. She couldn't ignore her worry anymore. "Where exactly did your husband go?" she asked again, this time softly but firmly. Her daughter's fingers tightened around her mug. "Mum, please don't worry about it. Everything is fine. We just want today to be special." "Special," the woman repeated. The word didn't comfort her. It only deepened the mystery. Her daughter stood up abruptly. "Why don't we play some music? You love music on your birthday?" She turned on songs, upbeat ones, and started talking louder, almost as if she was trying to drown out the woman's thoughts. Or her own. But the woman noticed another detail. Her daughter kept glancing at her phone, waiting for a message. Every time the phone buzzed slightly, her daughter jumped. Finally, after nearly 2 hours of odd behavior, her daughter's phone buzzed again. She looked down quickly, then dared to take 2 steps away, and whispered into the phone, her voice sharp but low. The woman didn't want to eavesdrop, but the room was quiet enough for her to catch a few words. "Not yet. I'm trying. She hasn't asked to go home, just a little longer." The woman's heart thumped hard. Why do they not want her to go home? A sudden thought came to her, one she didn't want to believe. What if they thought she couldn't live alone anymore? What if they were planning to move her into their house? Without asking? What if they were rearranging things in her home to convince her? She swallowed, feeling a heavy sadness settle over her chest. She had always been independent. She took care of herself. She wasn't helpless. Her daughter returned with another forced smile. "Mum, let's look through your old birthday pictures." But before the woman could respond, her phone buzzed on the table. She glanced down casually at first. Then her breath caught. A notification from her home security camera flashed on the screen. "Movement detected at your front door." The woman stared at the phone, her heart pounding. Someone or something was at her house right now? And suddenly, the whisper, the tension, the secret phone calls? Everything felt much more serious. The woman didn't react right away. She kept her face still, her hands resting on her lap, but her heart felt like it had skipped a beat. She looked at the home security notification again, just to make sure she had read it correctly. "Movement detected at your front door." Her daughter didn't seem to notice. She was still smiling, still talking about old birthday photos that they hadn't even taken out yet. But the woman's mind had already drifted somewhere else. Now, she needed answers, real answers. She turned her phone face down on the table, not wanting to startle her daughter. But inside, her thoughts were racing. Who was at her house? Her son-in-law? Someone else? What exactly were they doing there? Why were they trying so hard to keep her away from her own home? Her daughter clapped lightly. "Mum, let's take a picture together. You look so beautiful today." She sounded almost desperate to keep her mother in the room. The woman hesitated. "Before that, I want to go home for a moment." The daughter froze, just for half a second. It was small, but the woman noticed it. The daughter tried to recover. "Quickly, Mum. No. No, it's your birthday. Let's relax. We planned the whole day for you. The woman tilted her head. Planned it? What exactly did you plan? Her daughter's lips parted, then closed again. She opened her mouth. Again, searching for the right words, but none seemed to come. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for her mug. Mum, please just trust me. Everything will make sense soon. The woman watched her for a long moment. Then she said calmly, Why don't you want me to go home? The daughter's shoulders dropped. Her eyes softened with guilt. Mum, it's not like that. I just need you to stay here with me a little longer. Why? The woman asked again, her voice quiet but firm. Her daughter looked down at her hands. Because something needed to be taken care of at your house, the woman felt a chill. What needed to be taken care of? Her daughter didn't answer. At that exact moment, the woman's phone buzzed again on the table. This time, her daughter saw it too. Her eyes flicked toward it, and her expression shifted nervous, tense, almost fearful. The woman slowly reached for the phone and tapped the notification. The live footage opened. A shaky image came into view. Someone was inside her living room, walking back and forth, moving things, setting things up. For a moment, the woman felt her breath stop, until she recognized the person. It was her son-in-law. He wasn't doing anything harmful. In fact, he looked stressed, running from one room to another, checking drawers, adjusting decorations, placing something on the table, then picking it up again. He looked like someone who was trying very hard to finish something quickly and perfectly. The woman stared at the screen. Her chest tightened with confusion. Her daughter panicked. Mum, no, don't look at that, but it was too late. The woman had already understood one thing. This wasn't an intruder. This wasn't a danger. This was a secret. A secret involving her daughter and son-in-law. A secret involving her house. A secret they were terrified she would discover too soon. The woman turned off the live stream slowly. She looked at her daughter, with calm eyes. Tell me the truth. All of it. Her daughter swallowed hard. Tears filled her eyes. She sat down beside her mother, her voice trembling. Mum, we didn't want to scare you, and we didn't want you to feel alone. That's why we planned something big. Something for you. She took a shaky breath. We're not trying to trick you. We're trying to surprise you. The woman blinked, confused. Surprise me? With what? Her daughter wiped her eyes. Mum, we're not doing anything bad. We're doing something beautiful. The woman leaned forward, heart pounding again, this time with a different kind of suspense. What exactly are you doing at my house? She whispered. Her daughter squeezed her hands. Something meant to change your life. For the better. Morning lights softly filled the living room as she stood in the doorway of her daughter's home. After last night's tears, hugs, and the quiet drive back, she felt calmer. But her heart was still full of questions she couldn't ignore. Why the secret plan? Why the whispers? Why the fear of hurting her feelings? Why didn't they just talk to her? She took a deep breath and settled on the couch. Her daughter sat beside her, hands folded tightly, while her son-in-law paced near the window. Both looked nervous, like two kids waiting for a school principal to speak. Finally, the mother looked at them and said softly, Tell me everything from the beginning. I want to understand. Her daughter exchanged a quick glance with her husband and nodded Mom. She began, voice trembling slightly. You know your house means a lot to you. Every picture, every little item. Everything reminds you of. Dad, we know that. And we know touching even a single thing there can feel like we're crossing a line. The mother stayed silent. She knew that was true. Her daughter continued, "But Mum, we've also seen how much you've been struggling. You never say it out loud, but we see you sigh when you walk into the kitchen. We see how you avoid the hallway where Dad kept his books. We see you step around the broken garden light because you can't bring yourself to replace it." Her son-in-law added gently, "We didn't want to change your life. We only wanted to help you breathe again." The mother's eyes began to warm at tears, but she kept listening. Her daughter took a slow breath. "We didn't plan anything bad. We only wanted to clean the house, fix the broken things, lighten the heavy parts, and give you something new for your birthday. Something that said you're not alone." Her voice quivered, and she wiped her eyes. "But we were afraid you'd say no. Not because you're strict, but because you'd feel guilty, like changing anything meant forgetting Dad." The room grew quiet. The mother finally understood. They weren't hiding something harmful. They were hiding something meant to protect her heart. Her daughter hesitated, then added, "That's why I whispered to him. That's why we rushed. I wanted him to drive to your house before you reached the front door so the surprise wouldn't be ruined." Her son-in-law nodded. "And we wanted everything finished before you came home." The mother looked down at her hands for a moment. The truth didn't hurt, it healed. She stood up slowly and walked toward them. "You too," she said softly, "didn't hurt me. You saved me." Bose looked up, confused. She smiled sadly. "I didn't realize how heavy the house was becoming for me. I didn't realize how much I needed help. And I didn't know how." To us, her daughter broke into tears and hugged her tightly. Her son-in-law joined, wrapping his arms around them both. They stayed like that for a long time, three hearts. One family, finally free from the shadows of doubt. Later that afternoon, the mother returned to her home. When she opened the door, the soft scent of fresh flowers filled the air. The curtains were washed, the floors glowing, the shelves organized. The old garden light outside had been replaced. The kitchen looked brighter. And her late husband's picture now sat in a beautiful new frame. She touched it gently. "I hope you like this," she whispered, imagining her husband's warm smile. They did it out of love. For the first time in years, the house didn't feel like a museum of memories. It felt like a home again. And the mother realized something important. Her birthday surprise wasn't the cleaned house. It was the reminder that she was still deeply loved.